How are you? This is Jim Prusak, physical therapist with the Pain PT, and we're doing a little session here today with Lucia, one of my clients, and I wanted to share her story and have her share her story and her process of healing, and kind of learn more about her journey because I think it can be really valuable for everybody out there. So, how are you doing today, Lucia?
Hi, Jim. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming on. And maybe just to get right into it, you can start to share your story, whatever pieces you want to share of yourself, and from the beginning and how you kind of got into this and into TMS work and so forth.
Yes, I have to say, when I was young, I was pretty active. I was an athlete. I was competing in windsurfing. So I always did really great. My body was doing really well. And then, getting a little older, and in 2003, um, my father passed away with cancer after a long, long suffering. It lasted 3 years of incredible suffering. And also, in the same time, I was going through a divorce. And so, now I connect back, but it was around that time that I started to develop these really heavy headaches. And I would go to chiropractic, and they said, oh, it's just stress. Yeah, you're going through a tough time. So I did a lot of chiropractic. I did a lot of acupuncture, you name it. I was going through, spent so much money in all kinds of these alternative medicine type of works, which they work on the moment, but then back to square one. 2 weeks later, the headache would get bigger and bigger. And I got to a point that it was becoming so impairing that I couldn't even go to work anymore. And I would be in bed for 2 days at a time with excruciating pain. They would grab all my forehead, the entire head would be like a lock, like so much pain, the neck, the shoulders, it would radiate to the arms. I was pretty much paralyzed. And so medications wouldn't do anything. Doctors would try all kinds of stuff, not really easy answers, try this, try that, but I was always in pain.
Yeah.
And so that's how, many years went by. So this went on for, 15 years. And then I've been reading, trying always new things and stuff. Then one day I came across Dr. Sarno's book. And that really opened my mind. Like, it was really enlightening. But I tried what he says on the book. And
what year was that?
So, I'm confusing the years. Maybe around, I would have to say around 2016, maybe. I read the book, I think. It was a few years ago. And then, I got into practicing what he says on the book, but still was not exactly successful. I could see the potential of it. So I was thinking of contacting Dr. Sarno back then, but I couldn't really figure out how to do it. And then I think he was in New York, and it was way too complicated. And so I also, through the internet, I found Dr. Schubiner. That was the direct disciple, I guess, of Dr. Sarno.
Yeah.
And he seemed more like he had a website, so it seemed easier to contact. So I emailed Dr. Schubiner, desperate. I should have still that email somewhere where it said, I need help. I'm always in pain. There's no way that, because the pain would maybe stop for a few days and then come back. And so, my life was really hell, like impossible to deal with. And so I wrote an email to Dr. Schubiner, but I was not really, how do you say, hoping for an answer, because I'm thinking, it must be so easy. Instead, a few hours later, Dr. Schubiner brought me back. And he said, well, I think he's in Chicago, says it's a little difficult, because I'm in San Diego. So it's a little difficult, but there's a person that I know very well in San Diego that could help you. And that was Dr. Jim. And so we booked an appointment, and the rest is history. After I saw Jim a few times, he really helped me to focus on everything that Dr. Sarno was writing in his books, and Dr. Schubiner too. I also worked on Dr. Schubiner's books. But it's definitely much easier to have a person that guides you through. And so that's how it happened. I booked an appointment with Dr. Jim, and we started there to do a few sessions, and I immediately felt better. So
Yeah, and you had so your journey. I know when working with you, as you know, you can tell the listeners it's not just a straight shot, is it, to the finish line? There's a lot of stops and starts.
oh yes. So I mean, I think no, I'm really bad with dates, but I think it was around 2016 that we started with Dr. Jim, and the first times, yeah, it was challenging because I would one day I showed up at his office and I was in so much pain I couldn't even drive, and I wanted to cancel the appointment, and he says, no, you need to come in. So I had to force myself through.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
you remember that day? And I said, well, let's see if it's safe enough to drive. I said, yes, I can do this. But I was in a lot of, a headache that was really massive. But I managed to drive myself to his office. And immediately when I went there, the doctor had me do some exercises that maybe the doctor can explain it easier briefly. That they were all about being more aware in my body,
Yeah.
understanding, so feeling. I mean, it was really incredible. And just through sitting there with him, and what's really interesting is that I was hoping the Dr. Jim would say, oh, maybe do some PT, pop my neck, do something. He says, no. This is not about any physical thing. It's all about working with your feelings and working in deprogramming your brain pretty much, because I learned with time that it's all in our amygdala, in our, in our subconscious. So it was nothing physical, no massage. I was hoping sometimes I said get some relief, but no, they never, ever do that. Actually, that also Dr. Sarno specifies to stop
Yeah.
all kinds of those type of therapies. I said, this is really about feelings, emotions, and understanding what's going on in your subconscious. This is what's leading these gigantic tension episodes,
Yeah.
all the tensions that was in my muscles. And so it's I learned through Dr. Jim something really incredible that, I find it really mind-blowing, that our emotions are everything that they lead our lives, of course. But as humans, I remember when he gave me this teaching, emotions, the negative emotions can, how do you say, branch out. They end up being to these three main ones, which are fear, grief, and anger. So he explained me this, and after that, I started to pay so much more attention to the grief and the anger and the fear that I was living every day. And yeah, I had a lot of those free, a lot. And so after that, I really started to pay attention on how these emotions were kind of manifesting in my body. And I improved so much. I improved so much day by day,
Yeah.
paying attention to this. Yeah.
Yeah, you did a great job. And I do remember when we started, it was challenging, right? It's challenging for most people when they first start to get in touch with their feelings, in touch with their bodies, because usually they're in so much pain or discomfort. The last thing they want to do is connect with how they feel.
Yes.
So they start running away from the feelings, avoiding the feelings, right? Trying to get away from them. But with practice and time, that's what you did a great job of, was trying to start to come to terms with these feelings and how you were sort of dealing with these things on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, and so it was incredible because I say all those major episodes in my life, there's many more throughout the years, but I connect back to when the pain started and then back to the death of my father and the divorce. I just bottled it up and kept on going. You need to just toughen up and go back to work, and you can just cry a little much. You just need to, shape up, and especially when you find yourself single and without a parent, so that was the problem. I probably bottled up all these intense emotions. And these intense emotions, they didn't just disappear, but they manifested in the body as physical pain. And
Yeah.
that's what it is, that the body, the brain tells us you have emotions, you need to pay attention. So no, actually, they don't. That doesn't want you to pay attention to the emotions, and it creates the physical pain. That's something that Dr. Sarno also used to say. I read it in
That's
the book
yeah.
also. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and
Jim
you
can
like
say it better than me. I have an accent, so.
oh, you're doing great. So like maybe talk a little bit about your sort of how you kind of change a little bit your day-to-day functioning, because I know with your work and you're real busy, so there were stressors with your day-to-day stuff for a long time, and how you sort of learn to cope with that, maybe from a
Yes.
different mindset wise.
Yes, I try every day as I get up to be more aware. So immediately start feeling, I ask myself immediately, do I have anger? Do I have fear? And do I have grief? So, because those are to me the main three pillars of negative emotions, like the doctor explained. And so
Yeah.
it's not always easy to say, oh yeah, I'm angry. Oh no, I'm figure it out. But I try to at least pause and breathe and feel. Yeah, many days I wake up that maybe I'm already angry or I'm already with some grief, things that are not digested of all the past problems and, a lot of bad things that happen, like we all have. And also a lot of fear for the future because, life is really uncertain. And so there's so many things that we worry about for our future. So I try to immediately check in and see what's going on. Some days are better, there's not much going on. Some days I feel that these feelings are stronger.
Yeah.
And then I try to identify the portions of my body that feel tense. So I try to, long story short, to be more aware with
Yeah,
everything. So it's a matter of awareness.
that's right. Yeah,
And then,
awareness is number
yeah,
one. Awareness is number one, because without awareness, right, we don't know, we can't know what's going on.
yeah, like
Right.
for many years, I was pushing through my life and not realizing that I didn't digest the death of my father. I mean, I think it took a good 10 years to just even become aware of the massive impact he had on my life.
Yeah.
Because I remember the day of the funeral of my father, I didn't even shed a tear. Um, I drove with the person that was driving, how do you say, from the church to the funeral site to the cemetery. I drove. Nobody wanted to drive with the person in the how do you call the car where they put the coffin?
Oh,
Sorry.
the hearse.
Yeah, nobody in Italy. They want someone to sit with the person, and nobody wanted. So I said, "Oh, I'll go," like taking a ride on a taxi. So I
Yeah.
was completely out of touch with reality. I just kind of cut out, and people would come to me and hug me, and I would have a smile in my face.
Right.
And people thought, well, she must be crazy. She must be. I think it was a way that I didn't show any pain. I didn't. People were like, "Oh, she's not suffering at all." Yeah, that day of the funeral, I had this smiley face just to keep it together. But then it took 10 years to process the pain.
Yeah.
So maybe it would have been better that I was crying that day, and some people can. But I guess the pain was so strong that I couldn't. I couldn't really process it, and so I just bottled it up and pretended it didn't exist.
Right.
And
And that's
so,
that's a common thing, right, that we do, and we
yeah,
do it sort of automatically and unconsciously at the time. Like
yes,
you said, and it's only took years later that you kind of realize that. But that's so valuable, isn't it, to learn about how to deal with our feelings and our emotions and these type of things.
yes. And I owe all that to Dr. Jim. He really trained me to go through, and now everything I do is always to the point. How am I feeling? What am I doing? And I have to say, Dr. Jim is so good because I'm a scientist, so I'm kind of really, organized in the way I do things. And Dr. Jim organized these really good PDFs that I call them the magic PDFs. And there's a particular one that I love that he sent me, and it's the one that has the three building blocks. And it teaches you do not resist, do not react, but embrace. So, and it has like a to-do list of what to do, and that's so helpful for me because my brain operates in that way, like different blocks, and so sometimes I forget things, or maybe the pain starts to come out because it's never really gone. There's days that still you have a little pain,
Sure.
But immediately when I start feeling some discomfort and things, I go back to the PDF, and and he says, do not react, do not resist. So I'm saying, am I resisting to something? Am I reacting to something? And the answer most of the time is yes.
Yeah.
At work lately, we had problems as overreacting to situations or pretending they don't exist, like I did with the death of my father, so resisting a problem. And I know those are exactly the behaviors that will cause the TMS, all the headaches and all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like essentially that resist and react is fight or flight. That's your
Yes.
flight reaction. Yeah.
Yes. And so then there's tips on how to embrace the problem. So, I mean, those are like practical reminders and they work so well. So, what I love about Dr. Jim is that he's really, really good at giving you tips for your everyday life. And it really worked for me. So, I'm really grateful for all that the doctor has done for me. So,
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks,
yeah.
Lucy. Yeah. Appreciate that. And yeah, you did a great job. And I think it speaks again to having a practice. Like you said, you refer to that sheet and try to implement it into your life on a daily basis because otherwise, like if we can read the book and Dr. Sarno's books and we can understand it all, but until we start to apply some of the principles, sometimes you don't get the results that you're looking for.
Yes, and maybe some people are great. They just can read a book and snap the fingers and it's done. My problem was so complex, and I'm generally a person that needs a little extra help. Like in the term, I'm very personal. I like to meet someone and talk and exchange ideas in person. So even in my private life, I don't like much talking on the phone, emails. I like seeing people in person because it's it gives me so much more. And so yeah, but I have to say I met Dr. Jim for a few times. I mean, I'm not sure how many times, but it didn't take a super long. It's not something that you have to go for years and years and years. I mean,
Right.
it was pretty. I mean, at first it was a little bit more challenging, but then when I started to embrace the method and the teachings, then I started to feel much better. And I would maybe see Dr. Jim every few months just to check in and see how I'm doing. So this is not something you need to, do for thousands of years. I mean, if that's the case, it means that something is not going right. So
That's right.
that
Yeah.
you need to look at yourself, if you're really applying the things that
Yeah.
that he's teaching.
That's great. Yeah. No, I'm glad you spoke of that because for a lot of people, they, like you said, they want to read the book and they feel like they should be getting better, but until you really dive in and apply it and keep applying it, because we have a lot of blind spots in ourselves, unconscious parts of ourselves, patterns we don't see, that our behavior patterns each day, our thinking patterns, right, how we repress our feelings. So the more you keep uncovering these stones, like you did, you start to see more of your own patterns and how you can change them a little bit so that you don't react, like you said, or you don't resist as much.
Yes, and also, through life, then something new happens. You lose another person. You get fired from your job. I mean, laid off. Or so the challenges keep on going. But you learn to be more aware and prepared. So when some other massive, sad episode happens in your life, you are prepared to see this is what's going on and how is it going to affect my body and how is my brain reacting or resisting, and you can embrace the situation at a different level and really make a difference in the way you feel. So that's really the key. That to me, because I mean things are not, it's not going to be black and white,
Right.
or there's always going to be something, and this is what life is about. So, but you become more aware day by day. And yeah, Dr. Jim really guided me through. And still sometimes we email. And if there's something, he reminds me something that maybe I forgot to say, oh, yeah, that's what it was. I'm reacting. I didn't think I was reacting, and that's what's causing me the pain, or vice
Yeah.
versa, resisting some situation. So, yeah,
Great. That's
yeah.
great, Lucia. Really, really thanks for sharing. Is there anything else you want to share with listeners, tidbits or things that can help them in their healing journey?
I think the key is do not give up. I've been there. Many other people have been there. I watched Dr. Schubiner's, Dr. Sarno's film. I forgot the name of the film. Maybe Jim, the
All the rage.
All the Rage. Yeah, that movie, it shows different people, but I still remember the poor guy that was laying on the floor for days and he couldn't move.
Right. Yeah,
So
Michael Polinsky.
I still have a clear image of the guy. So, oh my God, that's how exactly I've been feeling in the past. And so you're not alone. You're not alone. We're all been there and still working on it. So don't feel don't feel that you are over. If you're in a lot of pain, don't feel that your life will is over. And sometimes they tell you surgery, this and that. Just wait before you do anything like that, and see Dr. Jim before, and he can suggest what's the best thing for you. Because I mean, he really helped me, and I'm confident that he can help a lot of people. So, so I'm just saying, there's hope. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So if you're in pain and you're listening this podcast, just know that there's things you can do. That maybe you did new things. So don't give up.
Yeah, great, great. I think that's a great way to put it. Don't give up. Keep walking the path and staying on
Yes.
the journey. Some people's path is quicker, some people's is longer. It's just the way it goes. And so that's a great, great advice.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because we're all different. So that's what I noticed. For some people, we're so complex and all unique. So each person is different. So you are on your own journey, your own path, and but if you stick to it, you'll be successful. I'm confident in that. I would say if I could do it, then anybody can do it. Because
Yeah,
I was a pretty tough and say stubborn type of patient, and
yeah.
I could push through it. I mean, it was hard, but I think there's possibilities. There's ways to do things.
Yeah, absolutely. And you came from a place where, we first started working where, yeah, you said you had really bad pain and headaches, and it took time, but you got through it and let little bit by little bit, layer by layer. And so it's so great to see, how like anybody can do this. You just have to stay the course and use the
Yes.
principles and just do the process. Yeah.
Yeah, there were times that, for instance, I would have to go on an airplane for work and stuff, and I was dreading the day. I said, I cannot go on airplanes anymore, because sitting on an airplane for 5, 6, 10 hours is gonna be a nightmare. I'm gonna be trapped with a headache on this airplane with no way out. So the fear kept on multiplying, become bigger, bigger. Tension. So the more the fear would become more, the more the headache, the more the tension, and it was this cycle of insanity. And so now I learned to face the fear and say it's gonna be fine. Do not react, do not resist, embrace the situation and relax. And yeah, I can go on airplanes again. I,
I know
I
it's
can
so
do
awesome.
my life like I used to do when I was younger, that I would windsurf and I would travel the world with that and go back to the good old days.
Yeah. Well, that's where you're headed. You're headed
Yeah.
back to the good old days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story and some tidbits for healing and nuggets of healing. Really appreciate it. Um, and it really helps a lot of other people to hear people's stories and that there's hope, like you said, and that you just have to, work the process and stay on the path, and you get to the finish line.
So thank you so much for all you've done for me, Jim. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You're welcome. Take care now.